I discovered my fiancé's betrayal at his company gala. My revenge was legendary. The shocking betrayal. Welcome to Heartbound Ashes. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. The night everything changed, the champagne tasted like poison. Maya stood in the shadows of the grand ballroom, watching her fiancé James laugh with his hand resting on another woman's lower back. The crystal chandelier above them scattered light across the marble floor like broken promises. She'd arrived early to surprise him at his company's anniversary gala, wearing the emerald dress he loved, the one he'd bought her last Christmas, when he whispered that she was the only woman he'd ever need. That was a lie. The woman pressed against him wasn't just beautiful. She was familiar. Recognition hit Maya like ice water. It was Vanessa Chen, James's business partner. The woman he'd mentioned casually over dinner 100 times. The woman Maya had smiled at during conference calls, never suspecting that those late-night strategy sessions were anything more than work. Maya's phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number. He proposed to her 3 months ago. Check his briefcase. The red folder. Her hands shook. The champagne flute slipped from her fingers, shattering against the floor. Nobody noticed. The orchestra swallowed the sound. Maya backed away from the ballroom, her heels clicking against marble as her heart hammered against her ribs. She knew where James kept his briefcase, in his corner office on the executive floor. She had the access code. He'd given it to her himself, back when trust still lived between them. The red folder. The office was dark, except for the city lights bleeding through floor-to-ceiling windows. Maya's fingers trembled as she entered the code. The lock clicked open. Inside the briefcase, beneath contracts and investment portfolios, she found it, the red folder. Inside were documents that rewrote her entire reality. A property deed for a penthouse in Vanessa's name, purchased 8 months ago. Bank statements showing monthly transfers of $50,000 to an account Maya didn't recognize. And wedding venue reservations. For next month. James Carlisle and Vanessa Chen, but that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the prenuptial agreement with Maya's name on it. Signed, dated, and notarized. The agreement that gave James complete control of her family's company if they divorced. The company her father had built from nothing before the cancer took him. The company James had helped her manage after her father's death 2 years ago. Maya's vision blurred. She'd signed that document 3 months after her father's funeral, when grief had made her blind, and James had been so gentle, so patient, promising her forever. He'd been planning this from the beginning. Her phone buzzed again. The same unknown number. He's using you to steal your inheritance. Vanessa is pregnant. He needs your company to secure his future with her. The wedding next month? It's not yours. You're just the bridge he's burning. Maya's breath came in sharp gasps. Her knees buckled, and she gripped the desk to stay upright. The emerald dress suddenly felt like a costume, like she'd been playing a part in someone else's story. Another text appeared. But you can still win this, if you're brave enough. Meet me tomorrow. 10 a.m. The old lighthouse at Mercy Point. Come alone. I have information that will destroy him. The choice. Maya stood in that dark office for 20 minutes, holding the red folder like it was evidence of her own stupidity. Below, through the windows, she could see James and Vanessa leaving the gala together. His arm around her shoulders, her hand resting on her still flat stomach. Something inside Maya cracked. Not her heart. Something deeper. The part of her that had been taught to be nice, to forgive, to understand. That part died in the silence of James's office. She took photos of every document. Then she carefully returned everything to the briefcase exactly as she'd found it. She deleted the security footage from the last hour. James had taught her how, ironically, for safety purposes. Then Maya walked out of that building a different woman. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She went home to the penthouse they shared, the one she'd paid for with her father's life insurance, and she packed a small bag. Not everything. Just enough. She couldn't let James know she knew. Not yet. At midnight she stood in their bedroom doorway, watching James sleep peacefully in their bed, his phone charging on the nightstand. She wondered how many times he'd lain there planning her destruction. How many times he'd touched her while thinking of Vanessa. Maya left without waking him. She drove to a hotel across town and checked in under her mother's maiden name. In the stark hotel room, she opened her laptop and began researching. James Carlisle. Vanessa Chen. Their business dealings. Their connections. Their vulnerabilities. By dawn she had a list, and at 9:45 am, Maya stood at the base of the old lighthouse at Mercy Point, salt wind, whipping her hair, waiting for the stranger who'd shattered her illusions. A figure emerged from the morning fog. It was a woman, tall, elegant, with silver-streaked hair and eyes that held years of carefully contained rage. "My name is Catherine Marlowe," the woman said. "And James Carlisle destroyed my daughter the same way he's destroying you. The difference is, my daughter didn't survive it." Maya's blood ran cold. Catherine stepped closer, her voice steady and merciless. "She jumped from this lighthouse 3 years ago. After James took everything from her. Her business, her reputation, her will to live. The police called it suicide. I call it murder." She handed Maya a thick envelope. Inside is everything you need to know. Every woman he's used, every company he's gutted, every crime he's committed that money has kept hidden. Catherine's eyes glittered with dark promise. "I've spent 3 years gathering this information, waiting for the right moment. The right person." Maya opened the envelope with shaking hands. Inside were photographs, financial records, legal documents, and testimonies from 6 other women, all with the same story, all destroyed by James Carlisle's calculated cruelty. "Why me?" Maya whispered. Catherine's smile was sharp as broken glass. "Because you're different from the others. You have something they didn't." She paused. "You have power he doesn't know about yet. Your father's company has offshore accounts James hasn't discovered, assets he can't touch. And most importantly," Catherine's voice dropped to a whisper, "you have me. What do you want?" Maya asked. "The same thing you do," Catherine replied. "I want to watch him burn." The lighthouse stood behind them, a monument to warning and ruin. Maya looked at the envelope in her hands, then at Catherine's face, the face of a woman who'd already lost everything, and therefore had nothing left to fear. Maya made her choice. "Tell me what to do," she said. Catherine's smile widened. "First, we make him think he's already won. To be heartbreak and revenge." The performance. Maya returned to the penthouse that evening, with a smile on her face and lies on her tongue. James was in the kitchen, cooking dinner, something he did when he wanted to seem domestic, thoughtful. The smell of garlic and wine filled the air. He looked up when she entered, his expression perfectly crafted, loving, concerned, just guilty enough to seem authentic. "Where were you last night?" he asked, stirring the pasta sauce. "I woke up and you were gone." Maya set down her purse, her movements carefully casual. "I couldn't sleep. Went for a drive to clear my head." She walked to him and kissed his cheek, the same cheek that had been pressed against Vanessa's face just hours before. "Wedding stress, I guess the lie came easily now." That surprised her. James's shoulders relaxed. "Only 2 months left until you're Mrs. Carlisle," he said, pulling her into his arms. "I can't wait. Neither can Vanessa," Maya thought. But she said, "Me neither." That night, they ate dinner together like nothing had changed. James talked about expanding her father's company, about new markets, new opportunities. Every word was a blade disguised as an ambition. Maya nodded and smiled, and played the role of the trusting fiancé, while her mind calculated moves like a chess player 3 steps ahead. After dinner, while James showered, Maya accessed his laptop. Catherine had given her a USB drive containing spyware, military grade, Untraceable. Maya inserted it, watched the screen flicker as the program installed itself into James's system, then removed the drive and cleared the browser history. Now she could see everything, every email, every financial transaction, every text message, including the ones to Vanessa. The messages that night. Alone in the guest bathroom, Maya read through James's texts with shaking hands. James to Vanessa, 3 days ago. 2 more months, then the company is ours and we can finally be together publicly. Maya signed everything. She has no idea. Vanessa to James, what if she finds out before the wedding? James, she won't. She's too grief-stricken and trusting. Her father raised her to be soft. That's why this is so easy. Vanessa, I'm starting to show. We need to speed this up. James, after the wedding I'll file for divorce within 6 months. Cite irreconcilable differences. The prenup gives me full control. She'll be left with nothing, and you and our baby will have everything. Maya's hands clenched around the phone. The bathroom walls seemed to close in. She wanted to scream. She wanted to confront him. She wanted to burn everything down, but Catherine's voice echoed in her mind. Revenge is a dish best served cold. And calculated. Maya took a breath. Then another. She stood and looked at herself in the mirror, really looked. Her father's eyes stared back at her. Strong, strategic, unbreakable. She wasn't her father's daughter for nothing. The alliance. The next morning, Maya met Catherine at a private office downtown, one Catherine had rented under a shell company. Inside, the walls were covered with documents, photographs, and flowcharts mapping James's criminal empire. He's done this 7 times, Catherine explained, pointing to a timeline. Finds wealthy women who've recently lost family members, targets them during grief, gains their trust, marries them or gets engaged, takes control of their assets, then discards them. She tapped a photograph of a young woman with haunted eyes. My daughter Elizabeth was number 4. Maya studied the timeline. Each woman had a similar story: loss, vulnerability, James swooping in as the perfect partner, then financial ruin and emotional devastation. 2 of them are dead, Catherine continued, her voice hardening. Elizabeth and number 6, Rebecca Morris. Both ruled suicides. Both happened after James took everything. Why hasn't he been arrested? Maya asked. Money. Connections. And he's careful. He uses shell companies, offshore accounts, and lawyers who specialize in making problems disappear. Catherine turned to face her. But he made one mistake with you. What's that? Your father was smarter than James realized. Before he died, your father set up a trust, one that requires dual authorization for any major company decisions. James needs your signature, but he also needs approval from the trust executor. Maya frowned. My father never mentioned an executor. Catherine smiled. Because the executor is me. The room tilted. Your father and I were friends, Catherine explained. We met at a business conference years ago. When Elizabeth died and I started investigating James, I discovered he was targeting you next. I reached out to your father. We set up the trust together as a failsafe, but your father died before he could tell you. Maya's throat tightened. Her father had tried to protect her even from beyond the grave, so James can't actually take control of the company? Maya asked. Not without my approval, and I'll die before I give it to him. Hope flickered in Maya's chest. Dangerous, electric hope. What's the plan? She asked. Catherine walked to the wall and pulled down a document. We don't just stop him. We destroy him. Financially, legally, socially. We make sure he can never do this to another woman. She laid out the strategy. Phase 1, continue the engagement. Make James believe everything is proceeding as planned. Gather more evidence of his crimes, fraud, embezzlement, identity theft. Phase 2, contact the other survivors. Build a coalition. Coordinate testimonies. Phase 3, right before the wedding, when James is most confident, spring the trap, expose everything publicly. File criminal charges, seize his assets, leave him with nothing, just like he did to them. But there's a catch, Catherine said. To make this work, you'll have to get close to Vanessa. Earn her trust. Make her believe you don't know about her, and James. Maya's stomach churned. Why? Because Vanessa has information we need. She manages James's offshore accounts. She's the one moving the money. If we can get her to testify against him, he's finished. But she'll only flip if she thinks she can save herself. How do I get close to her? Catherine handed Maya a business card. Vanessa runs a charity gala for underprivileged children next month. Volunteer. Befriend her. Make her believe you're just a naive woman who admires her success. Maya stared at the card. The thought of smiling at the woman carrying her fiancé's child, pretending not to know, pretending to be friends, it made her skin crawl. But she thought of Elizabeth jumping from the lighthouse. Of Rebecca Morris found dead in her bathtub. Of all the women James had destroyed. I'll do it, Maya said. The gala volunteer 3 weeks later, Maya stood in Vanessa Chen's pristine office, shaking her hand and smiling like they were old friends. Maya Thornton. Vanessa said warmly. I've heard so much about you from James. It's wonderful that you want to help with the gala. Maya played her part perfectly. I've always admired your work. And since James and I are getting married soon, I thought it would be good to get involved in causes that matter. Vanessa's smile didn't falter, but something flickered in her eyes. Guilt, maybe, or calculation. James is a lucky man, she said smoothly. They spent the next hour planning the gala, seating arrangements, auction items, guest lists. Vanessa was charming, professional, brilliant. Under different circumstances, Maya might have actually liked her, but Maya knew the truth. Vanessa wasn't a victim, she was a willing participant in James's scheme. As they worked, Maya dropped subtle hints, mentions of her father's company, casual references to offshore investments, innocent questions about financial management. Vanessa's eyes sharpened with each comment, and Maya could see the wheels turning in her mind. You know, Vanessa said carefully, if you ever need advice on managing your company's assets, I'd be happy to help. James speaks so highly of your business acumen, but sometimes it helps to have a woman's perspective. There it is, Maya thought. The opening. The trap within the trap. I'd love that, Maya said, smiling. Maybe we could have lunch sometime? Just us girls, Vanessa's smile widened. I'd like that. The revelation that night, Maya met Catherine at a secure location, a safe house Catherine had purchased specifically for this operation. She took the bait, Maya reported. We're having lunch next week. Catherine nodded, satisfied. Good. Now comes the hard part. You need to make Vanessa believe she can trust you, that you're not a threat. How? Tell her you're unhappy, that you're having doubts about the wedding. Make her think you might walk away on your own. Catherine leaned forward. Vanessa's weakness is that she actually believes she loves James. If she thinks you're stepping aside willingly, she'll drop her guard. Maya's chest tightened. And if she tells James, she won't. Because if you're leaving voluntarily, there's no need for James to rush his plan. Vanessa will want to keep you close, make sure you actually go through with ending the engagement. That's when she'll reveal more than she means to. It was brilliant. Cruel. Exactly what James deserved. There's something else, Catherine said, her expression darkening. I received a threat yesterday. Someone knows we're investigating James. They warned me to stop. Fear spiked through Maya's veins. Who? I don't know yet. But James has powerful friends. We need to move faster than planned. Catherine pulled out a folder. I've contacted 4 of the other survivors. They're willing to testify. But we need Vanessa's evidence to make the case airtight. Maya's hands trembled as she took the folder. Inside were photos of women who looked like ghosts, hollow-eyed, broken. Women who looked like what Maya might have become if she hadn't found out in time. I won't let him win, Maya said quietly. Catherine's hand closed over hers. Neither will I. The lunch date. The restaurant was elegant. White tablecloths, crystal glasses, the kind of place where secrets dressed up as sophistication. Vanessa arrived wearing designer maternity wear that didn't quite hide her pregnancy yet. Maya wore the emerald dress, the one James loved, like armor. They ordered salads and wine. Vanessa drank sparkling water. So, Vanessa said, leaning forward conspiratorially, how are the wedding plans coming? Maya took a breath and delivered her performance. Honestly, I'm not sure I can go through with it. Vanessa's eyes widened, surprise that looked almost genuine. Why not? I keep thinking about my father, Maya said, letting her voice crack just slightly. He died 2 years ago, and I rushed into this relationship because I was grieving. James has been wonderful, but I don't know if I'm ready. If I'm doing this for the right reasons. Vanessa reached across the table and squeezed Maya's hand. The touch made Maya's skin crawl, but she didn't pull away. That's completely understandable. Vanessa said softly. Grief makes us vulnerable. It makes us seek comfort in places we might not otherwise look. You have no idea. Maya thought. James would be devastated. Maya continued. And the company. He's been helping me manage it. I don't know what I'd do without him. Vanessa's expression shifted, just slightly, but Maya caught it. Calculation. Opportunity. You know, Vanessa said carefully, if you did decide to end things, I could help you with the company transition. Make sure everything's handled properly. James doesn't have to know we've talked. There it is. The confession she doesn't realize she's making. Maya let tears well in her eyes, real tears, but not for the reasons Vanessa thought. You'd do that? Of course, Vanessa said. Women have to support each other. The irony was suffocating. They finished lunch with Vanessa promising to help Maya figure things out. As they parted ways, Vanessa hugged her. And in that embrace, Maya felt the slight swell of Vanessa's pregnant belly. James's child. The future he'd planned. The life he'd been building while dismantling Maya's. Maya pulled away, smiled, and walked to her car with steady steps. Then she drove to Catherine's safe house and vomited in the bathroom. Catherine held her hair back, saying nothing, just being present. I can't do this, Maya whispered. I can't keep pretending. Yes, you can, Catherine said firmly, because you're not pretending anymore. You're hunting. The evidence. The next morning, Maya received a package at her office, unmarked, hand-delivered. Inside was a USB drive and a note in Vanessa's handwriting. Since we're helping each other, I thought you should have these. Call it insurance. Maya's hands shook as she plugged the drive into her computer. What she found made her blood run cold. Financial records, detailing every fraudulent transaction James had made over the past 5 years. Emails between James and Vanessa discussing their plans for each woman. Screenshots of messages between James and his lawyer discussing how to legally steal assets. And audio recordings, James and Vanessa in bed together, laughing about Maya. About how easy she was to manipulate. About how her father would be ashamed of how stupid she'd become. Maya listened to the entire recording. Every cruel word, every calculated laugh. When it finished, she sat in silence. Then she called Catherine. I have everything, Maya said, and I'm ready to burn it all down. Catherine's voice was steel. Then let's begin. The ultimate payback. The trap is set. The wedding invitations had already been sent. 200 guests, a cathedral venue, a reception at the most expensive hotel in the city. James had spared no expense, using Maya's money, of course. But Maya had other plans. She met with Catherine and a team of lawyers Catherine had assembled, specialists in fraud, embezzlement, and criminal prosecution. They reviewed every piece of evidence. The USB drive from Vanessa, the documents from the other survivors, the financial records Catherine had been gathering for 3 years. This is enough to put him away for 20 years, one lawyer said. Maybe more. I don't want maybe, Maya replied. I want guaranteed. The lawyer nodded. Then we need one more thing. We need James to commit fraud in real time, on record, with witnesses. Catherine smiled. The wedding. Maya's blood chilled. What do you mean? Think about it, Catherine explained. The wedding is the culmination of his plan. He'll have you sign the final transfer documents, probably disguised as marriage certificates or trust agreements. He'll do it publicly, in front of witnesses, believing you're too in love and too trusting to read what you're signing. We let him try, the lawyer continued, but we have cameras recording everything. We have document experts ready to testify. And we have law enforcement standing by. The moment he attempts the fraud, we arrest him. Maya's throat tightened. At my own wedding. At the wedding that was always a lie, Catherine said gently. This way, we don't just expose him privately. We humiliate him. We show the world exactly who James Carlisle is. It was brutal. Perfect. Exactly what he deserved. What about Vanessa? Maya asked. The lawyer slid a document across the table. She's agreed to testify in exchange for immunity. The USB drive she gave you? That was her insurance policy. She's been planning her own exit strategy. Maya shouldn't have been surprised. Vanessa was a survivor, just like them, even if her methods were morally bankrupt. She'll testify? Maya asked. She will. But there's a condition. She wants James to believe she's still loyal until the very end. That way, he won't suspect the trap. Maya nodded slowly. The pieces were falling into place. One more thing, Catherine said. The other survivors want to be there. They want to watch him fall. Maya looked at the photographs on the wall. Elizabeth, Rebecca, and the others. Women whose lives James had destroyed. They should be there, Maya said. They've earned it. The dress rehearsal. 1 week before the wedding, Maya stood in her bridal suite, surrounded by bridesmaids who didn't know the truth. The wedding dress was exquisite, white silk, hand-beaded, designed to make her look like a princess. She looked like a sacrifice instead. Vanessa was there too, playing the role of supportive friend, helping adjust the veil, smiling in all the right moments. Their eyes met in the mirror, and for one brief second, Maya saw something in Vanessa's expression. Regret, maybe. Or recognition that they were both players in a game neither of them had chosen. You look beautiful, Vanessa said quietly. Thank you, Maya replied. For everything. The double meaning hung between them. That night, James took Maya to dinner, a romantic gesture that would have been touching if Maya didn't know it was performance art. He held her hand across the table, told her how much he loved her, how excited he was for their future. I have something for you, James said, pulling out an envelope. Wedding gift. Open it. Inside were documents, thick, official-looking papers with legal jargon and signature lines. What is this? Maya asked, even though she already knew. Just some final trust agreements, James said smoothly. Combining our assets. Making everything official. My lawyer says it's important to have everything finalized before the ceremony. Can I have my lawyer review it? James's smile tightened just slightly. Of course, but the wedding is in 6 days. We need these signed beforehand. There it was, the pressure, the urgency, the trap. Maya pretended to skim the documents, then looked up at James with trusting eyes. Okay. I'll sign them at the rehearsal dinner. Relief flooded James's face. Perfect. He kissed her then, deeply, possessively, and Maya kissed him back, tasting lies and betrayal and counting down the hours until she could destroy him. The rehearsal dinner. The rehearsal dinner was held at an exclusive restaurant overlooking the harbour. 50 guests, family, friends, business associates. Everyone dressed in their finest, celebrating a love story that didn't exist. James stood at the head of the table, giving a speech about commitment and partnership. Maya sat beside him, smiling, playing her role one last time. To my beautiful bride, James said, raising his glass. Who has given me more than she knows? More than you deserve, Maya thought. After dinner, James pulled out the documents again. "Let's make it official," he said, handing her a pen. The room watched, expectant, celebratory. Maya took the pen. Her hand hovered over the signature line. Then she set the pen down. "I need to read this first," she said calmly. James's smile faltered. "Maya, we discussed this, I know. But it's my father's company. I need to be sure." Tension rippled through the room. Maya began reading aloud, slowly, clearly, making sure everyone heard. "This agreement grants James Carlisle sole executive control over Thornton Industries, including all offshore accounts, subsidiary companies, and future acquisitions." Murmurs spread through the guests. "This agreement supersedes all previous trusts and stipulates that in the event of divorce, James Carlisle retains full ownership." The murmurs grew louder. James's face had gone pale. "Maya," she continued reading, her voice steady. "This agreement was drafted 3 months after the death of Robert Thornton, during which time Maya Thornton was emotionally vulnerable and not of sound mind to make such decisions." James stood abruptly. "That's enough." "No," Maya said, rising to meet him. "It's not nearly enough." She pulled out her phone and pressed play. James's voice filled the room, the recording from the USB drive, his conversation with Vanessa, laughing about Maya, planning her destruction, mocking her grief. The room went silent except for James's recorded voice. "She's too soft. Her father raised her to be weak. That's why this is so easy." Faces around the table shifted. Shock, disgust, betrayal. "You recorded me?" James hissed. "I didn't," Maya said. "Your partner did." Vanessa stepped forward from the shadows, flanked by 2 lawyers. "Hello, James," Vanessa said coldly. James's face transformed, rage replacing shock. "You bitch." "Actually," Maya said, "you're the bitch. And here's proof." The doors opened. Catherine Marlowe walked in, followed by 4 women, the survivors. Elizabeth's mother and the women James had destroyed, all standing together. And behind them, 2 police detectives. "James Carlisle," one detective said. "You're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, identity theft, and conspiracy to commit financial crimes." The room erupted. James tried to run. The detectives tackled him to the ground. Handcuffs clicked into place. As they hauled him to his feet, James locked eyes with Maya. "You'll regret this," he snarled. Maya stepped close enough to whisper, "I only regret believing you were worth my father's legacy." Then she turned to the crowd, her voice carrying clearly. "The wedding is cancelled, but the open bar is still available. Please, enjoy." The aftermath. The story exploded across media within hours. James Carlisle, prominent businessman, arrested at his own rehearsal dinner. Evidence of fraud spanning 5 years. Multiple victims coming forward. Vanessa's testimony sealed his fate. With immunity granted, she provided every detail: offshore accounts, shell companies, forged documents. She even revealed James's plans to eliminate her after the baby was born, once he had what he needed. Turns out, James didn't believe in loyalty either. The trial lasted 3 months. Maya attended every day, sitting in the front row where James could see her. Every time he glanced her way, she smiled, the same smile she'd given him when she thought she loved him. The jury deliberated for 2 hours, guilty on all counts, sentencing 25 years. As they led James away in chains, he didn't look at Maya. He looked at the floor, shoulders slumped, the predator finally caged. 6 months later, Maya stood at the edge of the lighthouse at Mercy Point, where this had all begun. The wind carried salt and promises of storms. Catherine stood beside her. "How are you?" she asked. Maya considered the question. She'd spent months in therapy, working through the trauma, the betrayal, the violation of trust. She'd restructured her father's company, installed new leadership, donated portions of the recovered stolen assets to organizations helping fraud victims. I'm healing, Maya said finally. Slowly. Catherine nodded. Elizabeth would have liked you. I would have liked her too. They stood in silence, watching waves crash against rocks. What about Vanessa? Maya asked. She had the baby. A girl. She moved to Seattle, started over. I hear she's working with victim advocacy groups now. Good, Maya said. And meant it. Catherine turned to face her. You know what you did, exposing James, helping the other women. That took extraordinary courage. Maya shook her head. It took anger. And grief. And the realization that sometimes the only way to heal is to burn down what hurt you. Is that what you did? Burned it down. Maya smiled. A real smile this time, not performance. No. I built something better from the ashes. She pulled out an envelope from her jacket. I'm starting a foundation, using the recovered assets to help women who've been victims of financial fraud and manipulation. Legal support, financial counseling, therapy, everything I wish I'd had. Catherine's eyes filled with tears. What are you calling it? Maya looked at the lighthouse, the place where Catherine's daughter had jumped, where Maya's own life had changed forever. The Elizabeth Foundation. Catherine's hand found hers, and they stood together, two women who'd survived different versions of the same monster, who'd found each other in the darkness and learned to burn bright enough to guide others home. 1 year later, Maya sat in her office at Thornton Industries, reviewing quarterly reports. The company was thriving, stronger than it had been under her father, certainly stronger than it would have been under James. A knock on the door. Her assistant peeked in. Miss Thornton, there's someone here to see you. I don't have any appointments scheduled, I know, but she says it's important. Curiosity piqued. Maya nodded. Send her in. The woman who entered was young, maybe 25, with nervous eyes and hands that trembled as she clutched her purse. Miss Thornton, she said shakily. My name is Rachel Foster. I think I'm being scammed. By someone like James Carlisle. I didn't know where else to go, but I heard about your foundation and I thought, maybe you could help? Maya's chest tightened. Then she stood, walked around the desk and gently guided Rachel to a chair. Tell me everything, Maya said softly. As Rachel began her story, a story horrifyingly similar to Maya's own, Maya felt something settle inside her. Purpose. The kind of purpose that comes from surviving hell and deciding to build a ladder for those still trapped. When Rachel finished, Maya reached across and took her hands. You came to the right place, Maya said, and we're going to make sure he never hurts you. Or anyone else. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. How can you promise that? Maya smiled, the smile of a woman who'd walked through fire and learned to control the flames. Because I've done it before, she said. And I'll keep doing it until men like him learn that some women don't break. We burn back.